Okay,
All
we're
right,
on.
I'm gonna start. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to be affirming that consumers should stop using the self checkout line. Just for some quick definitions, consumers are going to be people buying goods at in person stores specifically, and stop using self checkout line is basically going to mean that they're going to opt to use in person cashiers instead of self checkouts. So my first point is that self checkouts are extremely difficult to use. And everyone has gone through when you're at the self checkout line, the place item in the bagging area, where the checkout machines are annoying, they malfunction, and they need to call somebody over, and you have to wait there for someone to come over. A Radiant Consumer Measurement Report finds that 65% or a majority of Americans have had technical issues with self checkout machines and are not happy, obviously, with having these technical difficulties. And a British poll done by the BBC finds up to 93% of people in Britain have an unfavorable view of self checkout machines. My second point is cleanliness. According to a Duke University study, self checkouts are extremely dirty. And they found that 50% of self checkout touchscreens had fecal bacteria, and some even had MRSA, a bacterial resistant to antibodies. These are extremely dangerous bacteria, and the amount on some of these machines is more than you might find in a hospital room, for example, or rooms where they keep that type of bacteria in a hospital, meaning that there are extreme amounts of this bacteria. And this was before the COVID-19 pandemic, right? According to Dr. Nidhi Gedayal, I think I butchered that name, but oh well, a public health research at the University of Minnesota, a combination of everything you've touched that's dirty in the store goes on to these machines when you touch them, and it continues throughout the day because nobody cleans them. The CDC further warns and says that all screens and areas being touched at retail locations need to be cleaned after each customer uses them, which, when you're seeing an in-person cashier, is really easy to do, and they are able to do it much more readily because they're right there. They're already there. They have all the equipment there with them. But the CDC also reports later with this that they have found that self-checkouts are lacking in this cleanliness, and it increases the possibility of spreading COVID and other diseases in the future, which means that these machines are actively spreading COVID and are a threat to individuals and peoples. My third point is job loss. The World Economic Forum in 2019 Future Jobs reports that many jobs can be replaced with automation, including cashier and retail positions, and, quote, expects them to become increasingly redundant over the next decade. They are fearing a loss of jobs for low-wage workers and will raise the entry bar into working and disproportionately affect those who are less affluent and poor. Furthermore, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that more than 16 million Americans are employed as cashiers at retail stores. This means that you are risking these millions of jobs, which accounts for 10% of the entire U.S. working population, for this specific machine. Which means that if you opt to use in-person registers instead of these automated ones, you're saving those jobs and you're helping ensure that people, which according to Demos, 73% of them are women, and a vast majority of them are Black and Latino and other minority populations that are often discriminated against in the U.S., which means by using these self-checkouts, you're supporting these populations. The New York Times further reports that almost all of these jobs, almost 16 million jobs, could be lost to self-checkouts by 2035, and that the amount of jobs replaced, because the theory is that, we'll find new jobs to replace these old jobs, that not only will these jobs be high entry, meaning that you need to have money to get an education to get these jobs that are going to be replacing them, but the jobs won't account for all of the jobs lost, meaning that millions of people will be out of work and lose their livelihood because of this. My last point is potential theft. So the well-renowned British newspaper The Herald reported that many people steal using self-checkouts, they cite how easy it is and the different tactics criminals use, including scanning different items and not paying at all. And they further reported that it's easy to get out of this because if they just say the machine malfunctioned if they get caught. The Atlantic further reports that an estimated 20% of all Americans have stolen using these methods, and others via self-checkout. The University of Leicester found that out of $20 million worth of goods, over 1 million self-out transactions, there was nearly 1 million worth of goods stolen, meaning that corporations, even small corporations, are losing money, right? Researchers concluded that the ease of theft is likely inspiring people who might not otherwise steal to do so. So not only are these self-checkout machines losing the company's money as well as jobs, but they're also increasing the likelihood of good people stealing. The New York Times reports that this loss can be up to 4 to 5% of total profit. And frustration has made retailers, including Vons, Albertsons, and Costco, scale back or eliminate some of these stores. some of these systems, and the police won't, according to the Huffington Post, won't respond, as many police departments, including the Dallas Police Department, enacted policies such as the one by the Dallas Police Department in 2017 that officers won't respond to shoplifting calls of less than $100, which means this damage falls on the store owners. Thank you.
Okay, so I only have maybe one or two questions here to ask you. So I know you talked about how it's easier for people to steal with self-service checkout, but wouldn't this also prevent, I guess, theft or errors made by cashiers?
So yes, but when you look at the total numbers, the total number, for example, of this is 44 billion from shoplifting, according to the National Retail Survey. And the number for people stealing from cashiers is much lower. It's probably in the range, or it is in the range, according to the survey, of about 1.5 billion, which means there's literally seeing 1.5 billion versus 44 billion in losses compared between these two different positions.
Okay, and then when, I guess, when you talk about the how much bacteria was on these machines before COVID-19, do you think that's gotten better now because people are actively sanitizing them now because of COVID?
So this is kind of, I kind of had 2 points with my cleanliness argument. And the first was the Duke University study before COVID, and the second one was the CDC study during COVID, which finds that the regular in-person checkouts are cleaner than the self-checkouts, and that the self-checkouts are lacking in cleanliness, and it's possible and it's more likely for them to spread COVID and other diseases in the future through the self-checkout than the in-person checkout.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. So I will start with my negative speech. Okay. So self-checkout is constantly expanding and very beneficial for many, actually. And being able to use self-checkout has a lot of benefits behind it. According to Truno.com, self-service not only provides customers a sense of being more in control, but it also shortens the perceived wait time. Many customers have simply come to prefer self-checkout over traditional lanes, regardless of how busy the store may or may not be, and will seek out stores that provide them over those that do not. Wait time was a huge part of the non-self checkout lines and had potential to prevent people from going to stores. But now that there are self-checkout lines, this doesn't have to be a concern for people who are in a hurry. Another benefit is that they reduce shrink. Also, according to Truno.com, reducing shrink is another factor, and most grocery employee, they say that most grocery employees are honest and trustworthy, but all it takes is one person who isn't. And anytime such an employee handles money, there's the potential for shrink. Self-checkouts eliminate nearly all of the risk because the money goes straight from the checkout stand and into the bank. Self-checkout is overall an easy way to prevent thefts such as shoplifting or employee mistakes. Finally, one more significant factor this accounts for is safety during the pandemic. Once again, according to Truno.com, self-checkout ensures less personal interaction with employees and other shoppers. So customers can check out without facing or having contact with employees during the transaction. Self-checkout machines can be programmed to further cut down on physical touch points. For instance, by having customers swipe their credit card to pay instead of first touching a button to select credit card payment. They can also reduce or eliminate the need to handle cash at the point of sale by accepting credit cards and mobile payment options. These important factors matter in a time like this and can help keep more people safe. COVID-19 has and continues to affect many people throughout the world, and having this system in place is a great way to encourage shopping again, and while also being safe as possible. Moving on from the benefits of self-service checkout, I also want to focus on why or how these machines might seem like a negative for society. It's easy for many to see that it's it's easy for many to see that the negatives for this machine when it comes to jobs. However, as tech continuously is integrated into our everyday lives, more people will be needed to operate them or fix them if they do need fixing. This would actually increase employment, and according to fee.org, they say that yes, lumberjacks, milkmen, movie projectionists, typesetters, and video store clerks did disappear due to technological advances. But they say do not panic. Technology also created a host of new positions that never existed before. Think about it. Computer specialists, social media managers, digital marketers, energy engineers, software and app developers, drone operators, YouTube content creators. How many people are working today in areas that did not exist 50 years ago? And this seems to be an unstoppable trend. It says a report by the Institute for the Future estimated that nothing less than 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet. The future is on its way. And to sum it all up, self-service checkouts have provided significant opportunities and contributions to society as it continues to expand throughout the world today. All right.
Okay. I also only have about 2 questions for you, and we'll see where those go. So my first question is about your better for customers, and it shortens wait time, and how people prefer it. So my question is, could people prefer it because it's easier to steal?
I think it's definitely a possibility that it would be easier maybe for people to steal, but it has a lot more benefits than just I think the benefits outweigh the cost of theft, and I think as they continue to integrate these into stores, they can continue to crack down on ways to better prevent against that.
Okay. And then your job argument. Do these jobs, so you listed a number of jobs, and do these jobs need training of some sort? For example, a college degree?
Some of them definitely would, but I think some would be fairly easy, such as operating. There's always people operating in the self-service checkout lines. I think that would be a fairly easy job to be trained for. I don't think you would need schooling for that.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that, but with, for example, are there more people when you have cashiers, or just one person servicing a bunch of self-checkouts? Which one employs more people?
There's I think as the self-service checkouts continue to expand, they're going to need more people to start doing that, and I think it can easily reach up to the amounts of cashiers that there once were.
Okay.
Someday in the future.
Okay, dokes. I'm going to start my 3-minute speech now. This is going to be fast, so I'm sorry if I go a bit fast. All right. Thank you again. I'm going to be going for my opponent's first point, the better for customers. I think that a big reason that people prefer these self-checkouts, because as I've already proven, and he hasn't really disproven, a majority of people, 65% in America and 93% in Britain, have an unfavorable view of these self-checkouts. So why then do people, he doesn't say how much, but why do people see that it's preferable to use this? Well, again, to point to my theft argument, according to the British newspaper, The Herald, or The Atlantic, 20% of Americans have stolen, which means that there's a 20% bump right there. They find it favorable because they can easily steal from it. Now, again, it's difficult to use, but people still find it preferable. Why do they find it preferable? Because it's easier to steal. My opponent's next point is cleanliness, and he says that, during the pandemic, it's safer and there's no contact with other people, and it cuts down on physical touch points. This isn't true because many people still use the touchpad right? And so they're still coming into contact with the germs. And unlike the registers where there's someone manning it, or a human there that cleans it after every use, these aren't being cleaned after every use, which is why the CDC has said that there is more danger using self-checkout than regular checkout, and that these checkouts are lacking, something that he hasn't refuted. Furthermore, the opponent's next point is the job loss, and that it'll actually add more jobs. And he concedes that many of these jobs will actually need more training. As I said in my job loss argument, a majority of people that are going to be losing their jobs do not have the money to get that specialized training. Furthermore, we're looking at the World Economic Forum and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and Demos and other reports have found, and the New York Times have found that there won't be as many jobs, that these jobs will be lost, and that people that are already suffering greatly will only suffer more, right? The New York Times reports that these jobs could be lost to self-checkouts by 2035 and won't be replaced. The World Economic Forum 2019 Future Job Reports finds that many jobs are going to be replaced by automation, including cashier positions, expecting them to become increasingly redundant over the next decade, which means that they're fearing, and they later go on to state that they're fearing a loss of job for low-wage workers, that this will raise the entry bar into working and disproportionately affect poor people, which in the United States alone will risk 16 million jobs, right? These are millions of jobs that many internationally renowned organizations with some of the smartest people in the world are saying, yeah, we're going to lose these jobs. And a lot of the jobs that might replace these jobs, which already won't compensate for all of the lost jobs, will need specialized training that the people that have these jobs won't be able to afford, which means that jobs like computer scientist, right, data analyst, technician will require people to go to school and will be filled by jobs from people that are richer and able to afford this. Finally, my opponent says that it reduces shrink and employee stealing. But again, I don't think employees steal 4 to 5% of all profit, as I already reported from the New York Times, and that it's not worth billions of dollars, millions of dollars being lost, right? We're talking like 1 million out of 20 million. We're talking about a 5% loss, right? Minimum. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm also sorry if mine's a little short, but so I just wanted to first focus on the bacteria argument that you have. I know you said that you gave research on what's been seen on self-service checkout machines before and during COVID. But as I mentioned before in my argument, there are easy ways to further cut down on physical touch points. And for example, the instance I gave of having customers swipe their credit cards to pay instead of first touching a button to select credit card payment, I think we could easily integrate less contact into these machines to prevent spreading bacteria and sickness. And I think pointing back to your argument on it being more preferable because it's easier to steal, I think that would be a very I don't think that's a very popular mindset among many. I don't think people are going into a store and just thinking it would be easier to steal right now from this from using this machine right now. I think they're going into a store to get the supplies they need and then just get out. Most people are in a hurry too. And I don't think that is a huge issue when it comes to the machines, because I think there's a lot I think there's a lot more benefits that outweigh that, and I think there's as they continue to expand, that we can crack down on those, just like being able to crack down on the bacteria on the machines. And I think also pointing to your argument on technical issues, I think that's a part of just technological expansion, and I mean it's ever growing. We're learning constantly, and these things can be fixed. Can definitely be fixed in the future. And I think sometimes it just takes time to integrate these things. I think it's important to be patient for that. And yeah, that's all I have.
All right. I'm going to do the last 3 minute speech. So my opponent goes in every counter he's had. So from the theft, he's like, we can look in the future at how we can prevent theft. He says, we can cut down on touch points in the future. And he says that, we're learning and these can be fixed. Well, we're looking at the now. Right now, these machines are difficult to use, with a vast majority of Americans and British and other people around the world saying, we don't like these machines because they're having errors. That is a now problem. 20 years from now, maybe we'll fix it, but that's 20 years from now. And these are issues that are affecting us today. Furthermore, he says that it's easy to cut down on touch points. Yes, this could be true, right? This could be true. But right now, according to the CDC, this is not being done, which means right now, when the pandemic is at its peak and was at its peak, this was not being done. Which means that we need to look at the now, not the, well, after the pandemic's over, maybe we can reduce touch points for the future, right? These are issues that are affecting and endangering lives right now, today, tomorrow, next week, not a decade from now, not a year from now, today, right? My opponent doesn't really talk about the job loss points anymore. He kind of concedes those. And he concedes that according to all of these organizations, there's going to be job loss. It's going to be massive, and that it's going to disproportionately affect poor people, because he doesn't make a comment on that. And again, this is happening. This is one that's going to happen later. So yeah, maybe we'll fix all these other problems, but then nobody will have a job. So what does it matter? Nobody can buy the goods in the first place, because now the poor people are going to get poorer and the rich are going to get richer, because now there's another entry bar into low entry jobs, right? And he doesn't touch that point. My opponent's last point is theft, right? And he says that, well, most people don't go into the store expecting to steal. But again, according to my theft arguments, which, he hasn't really pushed against any of these points, 20% of people steal, according to The Atlantic, right? 20%. And people have also found that, and I quote, again, the quote I said in my first speech, the ease of theft is likely inspiring people who might not otherwise steal to do so, which means that people are going into stores saying, I can steal from these guys, and stealing. So of course this is a huge issue, right? We're talking 4 to 5% of retail profit, right? We're talking 1 million out of 20 million. This could add up to be billions of dollars just being stolen because of these machines, specifically because of these machines. Yes, these machines reduce shrink, but the shrink, like I already said in the cross-examination, it's literally $44 billion to $1.5 billion, right? $44 billion is being lost right now because of the machines versus $1.5 billion being lost with cashiers. That's a major issue, right? That is a now issue. $44 billion are being stolen from shoplifting. So yes, I will say that a lot of people probably go into these stores and say, I will steal using this specific machine because it gives me the opportunity to. And it actually increases, like I already said, and pushes people that aren't likely to steal to steal. So yes, I think that you should be voting for the app because I've won on all the arguments of the difficulty to use, the cleanliness and how it affects us now, the loss of jobs in the future, and the idea of theft, right? And so it promotes theft. It's dirty. It will lose us jobs and cost people money, and they are difficult to use. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I feel like both of you guys had good points. I want to say my opinion, but I don't want to because it's between you two. But like, I work at Target, and like sometimes I'm in the checkout like section because I don't know if you guys noticed. There's this checkout person like there. There's actually been a lot of people that have stealed. A lot of people have stealed. I don't know if we're like stupid and we don't see it. I don't know, but people are just like smart and like they just, So I feel like for this one, I feel like Matthew, you're a really good speaker. Same with Aiden. You guys both had really good points, but I'm gonna have to give this one to Aiden. I feel like the affirmative won this debate.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think that both of you guys' points were really good, but like in an argument like this, the affirmative had like a lot more points and like better questions. And yeah, an issue is like stealing, so that was brought up, and then also like job opportunities and how it's like the gonna worsen for like people of low income, like doesn't give them opportunity. So I thought that was a good point. So yeah, you guys both did good, but I'm gonna have to give it to Eden.
Thank you, and good job, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you, man. Wow, that was great.
Yeah.
Nice job, man. Great points.
You too. I actually did not expect to win this. I misread the arguments. That's why I got a mix
Oh,
up.
yeah.
We're doing this.
Gotcha. All right.
All right. I will send you the link for the StreamYard in a moment here, then, Lizette, because I know I
Okay.
have to do that. But thank you guys, and I'll see you all later.